Hey guys, Fam back again, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys something pretty cool. I'm going to be showing you guys how to jungle with Necro. And what this is going to revolve around is his Heartstopper aura. So this is an aura that kind of lowers everyone's HP by a certain percentage every second, and it affects enemy heroes as well as, enemy creeps and jungle creeps. And that's kind of what we're going to be exploiting in this replay. So without further ado, let me just show you how to do this. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about the starting build a little bit. It's going to be Stout Shield, Quelling Blade, and Tangos. And basically what you do is as soon as you pick the hero and get out of Fountain, you want to head over to this area between the medium camp and the hard camp on Dire side. And what you want to do here is you want to cut down these trees to get, a wide path of vision between you and the medium camp. Your goal is to be, standing here, and your goal is to be able to see both the medium camp and the hard camp without having to move at all. So, in order to do that, you want to clear out these trees here. Now, theoretically and realistically, you only have to cut down one tree to get vision of the camp here. So if you think you're really good at this and you don't want to buy the Quelling Blade, theoretically you could do this with only Tangos and cutting down this one tree. But it's a lot easier this way, and the Quelling Blade actually helps a lot for other reasons as well. So I still recommend you start with the Quelling Blade. And basically you'll notice at 30 seconds the creeps are going to spawn, and I'm continuing my tree cutting down over here just to make life a little easier for me. And the first thing that's going to happen is at 53 seconds you're going to start stacking the camps. So the way you do this is at 53 you hit the hard camp, and then you immediately go over to the medium camp and hit that one as well. And after you do that, you immediately walk straight up towards this path. You'll notice both camps have stacked, and if you do it properly, that's probably what's going to happen every time. You hit this camp at 53, this camp at 55, and then walk straight up. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually, not interested in just sitting here AFK watching the creeps HP slowly go down to Heartstopper aura. So I want to make this process a little bit faster, and the way I do that is by auto-attacking the creeps. So what I'm doing here is I'm attacking the creeps once, pulling them to the edge of their aggro threshold, and then when they get here, I attack them, a few more times. And if you're going to do that, you should stop around 140 to allow time for them to reset and, for you to be able to get the 53 pull off again. So once again, 53, 55, hit this one, hit that one immediately after, walk straight up, and you'll notice both camps have stacked. And the Heartstopper aura, as you can see here, is pretty big, and it'll pretty much always be in range of both of those camps if you stand in the middle. And I'm continuing to kind of, pull the creeps to the aggro threshold and trading hits with them here. And the way, obviously the reason I do this is because when creeps get to this area, they're going to hit you like once or sometimes not at all, and then they just turn back. So it's very, very efficient in terms of, trading your life for theirs. And this is, the Stout Shield and Quelling Blade also helps a lot with that process. So you'll notice around 40 seconds I stop doing that again, allow time for them to reset, and pretty much do the same pull at 53, which I will show you one more time in normal speed before I start speeding this replay up. So 53, 55, pull upwards, just straight up. And this time this camp actually didn't stack. I have a feeling it's because the Troll Warlord walks kind of slower than others, and if it hits you, it's going to stop. So I think the Troll Warlord sometimes does mess the stack up, but I'm not positive about that. Now, as soon as you get level 2, you're going to level up your Death Pulse and basically do what I just did. You pull one camp close enough to the other one where you can basically hit all the creeps from both camps with a Death Pulse. You're going to see me do it again here. Just pull them close enough and then nuke everything. And as soon as you get level 3, which is shortly after you get level 2 because of how low all the creeps are, you're going to level up Sadist. And Sadist is actually another key part of this jungling routine, and that's because it restores your HP and mana by a lot. It's really good regen, and I'm actually going to put 2 points into it for reasons I'll explain shortly. Notice I stacked again. Okay, so here I want to talk about what happens if you spawn a Satyr Tormentor. This is the, pink/purple big creep, and it has a passive ability that, restores 4 HP per second to all nearby creeps. And this really slows down your Heartstopper aura by a lot. So if you see a Satyr Tormentor spawn at any point in the game, you need to immediately prioritize killing it. And obviously, you can see I'm only focusing on the Satyr when I pull the creeps up there, because I want this to be dead as soon as possible. And basically, this is what you need to do if it spawns at any point in the game. Just try and kill it as soon as possible, because it really does slow down your jungling by a lot if you let it live and, let its aura counteract yours. Now, going back to my point about the 2 levels in Sadist, you can see that Sadist doubles your mana and HP regen if you go from 1 point to 2 point. However, if you put 2 points into Death Pulse, the damage only goes up by 50, so the damage doesn't double, and the heal only goes up by 20, so, that's even worse. So 2 points into Sadist is actually more effective for jungling than 2 points into Death Pulse, and that's the reason I do that. By the way, notice around 5 minutes in, the trees are going to start growing back one by one, so make sure that you, kind of cut them down as they're growing back up so you can maintain this field of vision. It's pretty easy since you don't need, you only need like 1 or 2 trees cut down to be able to see these, but I like having this entire area clear, so I generally cut down all the trees here. You might have also noticed that, I missed a stack either here or there occasionally, but honestly, it's really not that big of a deal if you miss a stack here or there. You're still going to get a mech timing somewhere between 8 to 9 minutes, so that's relatively good, especially when you compare it to someone else who might rush mech in the jungle, such as Enigma. It's only like, maybe a minute or 2 slower than Enigma, which is quite good considering Enigma is one of the fastest junglers in the game. So here you see I'm doing more of the same thing, kind of death pulsing everything, and you'll notice that as soon as you get both components of the mechanism, or even if you just have the headdress, you're pretty much tanky enough to constantly auto-attack the creeps. So as soon as you get your headdress, you can pretty much just auto-attack the creeps constantly and never stop. And your Sadist Aura plus the Stout Shield plus the HP regen will be enough to sustain you. Now another thing I want to talk about real fast here is, you'll notice I turned level 6 about at 6:30 or so, and I actually put my level 6 into the Death Pulse. And, really quickly I want to explain that. So the reason I put it into Death Pulse instead of my ult is because I knew that I'm not going out of the jungle, I'm not going, into a fight until I have a completed mech. Because it's really silly to walk into a fight without a mech completed if you're going to rush it. And for that reason, I know that I'm not going to be using my ult until I have my mech done. And basically, if you're not going to be using your ult, then you might as well kind of make your jungling a bit more efficient, and that's why I leveled up Death Pulse instead. I'm going to be using Death Pulse constantly in the jungle, so it makes my jungling a little bit more efficient as opposed to leveling the ult. But that's definitely like more of an advanced thing, and it's up to your preferences. If you want the ult at level 6, you can certainly get it. And if you're not going mech, you should probably get your ult at level 6 as well. So for example, if you want to rush a Midas or some other item instead of mechanism, then going ult is probably a good idea at level 6. Alright, so moving on, you'll notice that I killed both these camps before the 7-minute spawn, so I kind of ran down to the next creep camp to farm it. And what I did there was, I'm trying to get the most use out of Death Pulse. I'm trying to make it as efficient as possible. So I kind of just, pulled the creeps over here, and then I nuked right here, because I know if you nuke right here, it's close enough that it's going to hit the high ground creeps as well, and it's just slightly more efficient if you pull the creeps over there. Also, you always want to be keeping track of your Heartstopper Aura's range. So back to what I was saying over here, if you're standing right here, Heartstopper Aura will hit this camp and this camp. But if you're standing right next to the creeps, say maybe right here, your Heartstopper Aura actually won't reach this camp. So, always make sure that Heartstopper Aura is doing as much damage as possible to even the creeps that you're not hitting. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, and that's pretty much all I had for this guide. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit here to show you guys my mech timing. And you'll notice, yep, right there I got my mech 8 minutes and 20 seconds into the game. I think that's because, once again, I missed quite a few stacks. If you do it right, you can probably get a mech as early as like 7 minutes and 40 seconds or so, but it's kind of hard to do it right, and sometimes it depends on what creeps spawn. So overall, you're probably going to end up with an 8 to 9 minute mech, which is not bad still. And for the next part of this video, I'm going to show you guys how to do the same thing on the Radiant side. Now, theoretically, you could stand right here and do it with these 3 camps, but I'm not going to show you how to do this because I don't think this is viable in ranked games, or in like any high MMR game. And that's because, if you're doing it right here, this is very vulnerable. This is vulnerable to, smoke ganks from supports. It's vulnerable to the mid player who gets a good rune and decides to go into your jungle. It's vulnerable to the off lane who might decide to come into the jungle as well. Not to mention that, these 3 camps can all be blocked by wards. And, if the offlaner wants to ward any of these 3 camps, you can easily get screwed over here. And your support might also be pulling this camp. So if your support's using these 2 camps, obviously you can't use them. So instead, I'm going to show you how to do it right here. And this is pretty much the same thing as doing it right here. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to use this camp and that camp, and you're going to cut down these trees. And you're going to pull both camps at the same time and do pretty much the same thing. So if you want to see that, go ahead and stick around. It'll be right up. Hey guys, so in this part of the video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do the Necro Aura jungling on the Radiant side of the jungle. And once again, I'm going to be doing it over here because I think that's the much safer and much more reliable way of doing it, as opposed to standing in the middle of here between those 3 creep camps. Basically, the starting build is exactly the same, and for the Radiant side, I don't think you can get away with not having a Quelling Blade because you need to cut down all of these trees in order to have good vision. So basically your goal is to be able to, once again, see both of these camps, the hard camp and the medium camp, by standing in one place and not moving. And the place should be somewhere like this area, so you don't want to cut down all of these trees and eventually these trees as well. So it doesn't really matter exactly which trees you cut as long as you get this general area all down before the 1 minute mark, and that's something that's definitely very doable. Just make sure you get out of fountain as soon as possible and start cutting the trees as soon as possible, because this will not work if you AFK until 0 seconds. There's quite a few trees you need to cut down. So moving on. Basically, you can see here, it's basically more of the same thing. Troll camps are a little hard to stack, unfortunately, but what I did was, generally I'll hit one camp at 53 and then I'll immediately hit the other camp, and then for this one I run straight into up here, into this little, I guess, path right here. So you kind of hit one, hit the other, and run, straight up into that path. And notice I'm kind of just doing my Heartstopper Aura thing right now. If you really wanted to make this faster, you would be hitting the creeps and kind of pulling them over here and, making sure that you get as much damage as possible. But for this particular video, I didn't do that for the first few minutes. Okay, so once again, hit one at 53, hit the other at around 55, and then run away. And this time they both stacked. Now you'll notice once again that this time the satyr spawned pretty early for me, so I pretty much, absolutely have to kill that as soon as possible. And the way I do that is exactly the same as before. I hit it once, I pull it to the edge of the aggro threshold, and then I start, hitting it many more times. And I'm going to speed this up a little so you guys can, don't have to wait all day to see this. And more or less, this is what you do in order to kill the satyr. Notice once again I stopped at around 40 seconds to allow time for the creeps to reset and make sure I can pull them. So, once again, hit one at 53, the other at around 55, and go up and pull. I think it's slightly harder on the Radiant side, but, in the end it's still doable. And I'm once again targeting down the satyr camp. And you'll notice, after all these auto attacks, that satyr finally dies, so I can aura these creeps down in peace. And you'll notice I never even hit any of these creeps, but some of them are already about to die. So that's the power of the Heartstopper aura in action there. And once again, I pull again, another satyr spawns, and every time it spawns, you're gonna have to kill it. So, I immediately pretty much go for that one as well. So I'm not going to show you guys the whole thing again, but this is pretty much how you would do it on the Radiant side. And if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, please feel free to subscribe. I will be making a lot more videos about random and cool tips, guides, and just various interesting things about Dota. And hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching.